Hello everyone, my name is Jesse Kamras and I want to warmly welcome you all to our roundtable discussion. How to achieve efficiency in production? That is our main question for today. We are broadcasting live here from Keilaniemi, Espoo to all of you who are at the forefront of steering your organizations towards a future marked by agility and innovation. This roundtable discussion will feature two key panel discussions. First, we will delve into digitalization and emerging technologies, focusing on advanced automation in manufacturing, integration challenges and future trends in technology adoption. And following that, we will then talk more about the future of work, focusing on how to address labor shortages, the socio-economic impacts of automation, and strategic considerations around reshoring. We have a great lineup of experts here today joining me here in our roundtable discussion. So let's meet our esteemed panelists. Good to see you all. Welcome, everyone. Let's start with short round introduction, a little bit about yourself and how you are connected to advanced technologies and efficiency in manufacturing. Mikko.
Thank you, yes, and good morning, everybody. So my name is Mikko Salminen. I'm the head of global sales at Visual Components, and I've been working with manufacturing and industrial automation for past 25 years in automotive, as a system integrator and with conveyors, and now lately with simulation and with different industries. So glad to be here.
Hello, my name is Miikka Ahola. I work as a manufacturing technology director at Scanfil. I also have multiple different roles in my background, over 20 years of manufacturing experience in different companies.
Hi, my name is Juha Lantta. I'm representing Etteplan, Finland, and I'm from our production solutions department. So we are doing automation solutions for our customers, mainly as a system integrator. And I have roughly, let's say, 8 years of background in the field.
Excellent.
Hello, yes, my name is Mika Laitinen, and I'm from company named Fastems OY, and I'm a solution sales director working globally with our end customers. And for concerning today's topic, I have been having the first touch of the 3D simulation and animation tools in already early 90s. And the simulation is very important part of our business every day. So happy to be here.
Have you?
Hi, my name is Jyrki Latokartano. I come from Tampere University from the Production Systems and Technologies Research Group. So we educate the future talents and we research the manufacturing and manufacturing automation, and also been using the simulation tools for around 30 years by now.
Good morning. My name is Samuli Ahonen. I work at Visual Components as a head of simulation experts, helping our customers to be successful with our simulation software tool. I've been doing simulations roughly 18 years, first on the end user side, and now quite some time on the software vendor side. So today in this table, I bring maybe the software side and the tools side into the discussion.
Excellent, great to have you. So a lot of knowledge and expertise around this roundtable here today. So let's dive into our first panel discussion and focus on advanced automation in manufacturing. Juha, if we start with you, how do you see, how is automation improving efficiency on the factory floor?
I think there's quite a lot of, or multiple ways of measuring the efficiency. The most obvious ones could be the production output or utilization of your certain production machinery. But also you have to take into consideration safety and manufacturing personnel as well, because there's always room for manual operation or manual tasks rather than everything has to be automated. We had a case study, I think there will be a video later on in discussion about the case study that we had for Sulzer pumps, and we did a test cell for their pump production, and the key KPI in that was that we were able to reduce the time of the assembly of the test setup from 2 hours to 6 minutes and utilize 200 different pumps on that same cell. But the actual need for that came from the safety of the personnel because the equipment were quite heavy and hard to use. So it started from safety, but the actual need was the production output. So having or looking like the wider scope of what is the actual KPI that you measure, you actually need the personnel that you have. So that's the like a wider scope of today. Is it just the KPIs or is it actually the personnel who's providing the efficiency?
Right. And Mika, from a system provider's point of view, how do you see how is automation improving the efficiency on the factory floor?
Yes. Okay. So typically, of course, when we are talking about efficiency, we are trying to get the most of the equipment what you have on the factory floor in the capacity point of view. And then in our business, we are in the machining industry, so making automation equipment, for example, the metal cutting industry. And then the most typical KPI is the spindle uptime, so that how much the machine tool is actually cutting the metal, because that makes the money. So that is the let's say the top notch of the variables what we are measuring, and that's what we are targeting, of course, to get the most of the hours in every year annually to be utilized for the operations which are making the money. Of course, that is the thing. But then there's another topic as well, like you mentioned also the lead time. So that is also the efficiency, and many times. Quite often we are talking with our customers, not only focusing this one operation, but we are talking about the big picture, meaning that where the material comes, how it flows, and what is the next operation and where it goes next. So that to speed up the whole process, like you said, in our cases it's many times, many days or even weeks, and try to squeeze that on the hours or maximum couple of days. So the efficiency of the machine tools, but then also the lead time of the manufacturing process as a whole. Those are the things what we are focusing.
Yeah, Mika, we're hearing here what kind of things to measure. Can you tell us what metrics are critical for measuring the improvement of efficiency?
Well, yeah, like Juha said here, the utilization is of course the first like sanity check that scaling of your investment has been correct and you are in a let's say correct ballpark on what you are doing. But of course, how the benefits are coming, this is something I struggle in my daily work also, that quite often the benefits are coming from the small streams in multiple places, and that's heavily dependent on what kind of industry or what kind of manufacturing you are making. So it could be that you are getting benefits from production planning or stock rotation or reduction of the WIP and better lead times. In general, I would say that it's easier to predict the automated processes than lower automation processes. So you have a better visibility on what you are doing and predictability what you are doing. So it's typically more efficient, but it might be a bit of like a leap of faith needed to trigger the investment because the benefits are coming from so many small sources.
What is the leap of faith? When do you
trusting what you are doing and understanding that you might not have all information available, but trusting that information you have is good enough to make the decision.
Mm. How do you, Mika, see the leap of faith or the trust? How is it tested?
Yeah, that's a very good statement. And we are talking about sometimes in our customers the threshold. Okay, how to get over the threshold to make the investment. And then what we are trying to make it easier for our clients is that, okay, even you know your situation today, you don't need to know necessarily how your future looks like, because the modern automation equipments can be extended, they can be modified, they can be later customized to fit for these needs what you are facing in the future. So our company statement and what we are trying to get our clients to trigger the investment is just that, okay, you have the data today, that is the basis today's investment, but then the future is there as well, where we need to be even better. It's better to start today and grow to automation as your business is growing.
And Samuli, looking at simulation technology, how does this help manufacturers test and refine automation strategies before then going into full-scale implementation?
Yeah, like Miikka said, that the benefits, they usually come from many sources, but I would say like very obvious and straightforward benefits from simulation comes from that it allows you to experiment early on, quickly, safely, environmentally friendly, and with the low cost, different scenarios, and doing proof of concepts early on. And this kind of allows you to find more optimal solution, because you can iterate many different options. If you compare that to doing practical proof of concepts on the shop floor, it takes so much time and money and effort. You typically kind of settle down with a couple of the first ideas. And also when you do certain mistakes and early on you filter out bad ideas, it's a lot cheaper than finding those issues on the shop floor when you're installing the equipment. There's multiple other benefits and how it helps, but I think this is the kind of like the most obvious ones.
Right. What about Jyrki, your point of view on simulation before going into full-scale implementation?
I think as Samuli said, that one of the big benefits is the safety, that you can try different things when you have accurate models of your production equipment. You don't need to worry about collisions and other things that cost a lot of money if they happen in a real world, but in a virtual or digital world you can safely test those. No need to worry about the equipment failures. And that's also something that is a great benefit with students, that they can try and learn new things with close to real life models of the systems, so that you get the information needed. And also when you have accurate models of your production equipment that you are simulating, you can not only test the feasibility of your ideas, but you can also measure the performance, like Miikka said, that you have more data and proof for your decisions, that what is the actual performance of your coming production systems and what might be the problems you can fix before you're actually building and installing your systems.
So when should someone start to consider simulation? At what point, or do you think that simulations comes in too late at some stages?
I guess that because you can build up your simulation model, that even the first ideas, you could make a very simple simulation, just try something, or even only visualizing your ideas and collecting the information from others. And then if you need more information on the performance or safety or space requirements and such, then you upgrade and improve your model. So I would start as early as possible.
Yeah, we get like quite often the first contacts from customers come into the stage where they have a quite clear idea already what they want to do, and they want to simulate that. It's good to do that, but I would say that typically the second project that they do and where they utilize simulation is better, because they use simulation tools already in the concepting phase. So the first simulation projects we might help our customers, we're kind of simulating what they already know. And that might be ensuring for them that, yeah, this makes sense, but it makes even more sense the earlier they start to utilize these tools.
Sure.
Yeah, I would like to have one comment on here as well. So in Fastems business, we are using the simulation tools in 3 different levels. So the first, like you said, in the very early stage, we do the 3D layout and some animation, which is just a, proof of concept type of thing. And then when we know more about the process, we are starting to do the capacity analysis, that we are trying to, what is the bottleneck, where is the bottleneck? Because the automation should never be the bottleneck, it just should be somewhere else. And that is then the basis for the investment. And then what we do next is that that the customer wants to know also, okay, this is the situation today, but what about our production is changing something else in the future? Then we start to do this kind of the production simulation, which is a third level in our mind, which is then simulating the daily based activities, not only today, but also some possible future scenarios. And that is again one of our tools, how we are convincing our customers, okay, today we are assuming that the automation looks like this, but then we can also prepare the future using the simulation tools.
Juha and Mikko, how do you see this in your opinion? What are the most impactful benefits of simulation?
I think there's been many good things mentioned. Something that comes to mind from this kind of scaling up and testing the prototypes, like what you and colleague Iiro have told, that you use simulation, like also Fastems, from the very beginning to the actual realization of the automation system. It kind of evolves already there. So instead of doing those prototypes, you do them virtually in the sales phase, in the sales talks, and in the design from the very beginning. And also you think already, what if we want to scale up 30% or double the production in 3 years, 5 years? What do we need to do? What kind of space reservations to take into account? And it kind of supports the design of the system. It opens up a dialogue between the supplier and the manufacturer and maybe the third parties involved in the process. So I think it's really an effective communication and collaboration tool, and it gives you that trust, even maybe not having all the data, all the blocks in place. You get enough trust that you maybe spend 3 million on this, and it's an investment, that leap of faith, to make the future brighter. But you are kind of feeling good in your gut that we are making the right choices, that this is bringing us forward.
Yeah, I think the mentioning of collaboration and what Mika was saying, that about the 3 stages of where to use simulation, we're using it in Etteplan quite the same way. And getting in the example case we're later on seeing, we actually simulated the whole factory floor in there. We didn't just focus on the manufacturing cell or robot cell that we are actually doing there. It created wider scope, and actually with that wider scope, we were able to sell the smaller, large anyway, but sell on the manufacturing process. But it's part of a bigger process, as Mika was also saying before. But the most beneficial is the collaboration tool. When you have the same language of talking with the people, you understand. In our business, we're doing into multiple different processes. So understanding the process language from the personnel operating at the customer, and then collaborating with them using the simulation model to use the same language. That's a really, really big deal in our sense. And then one step that we are also doing is virtual commissioning, what Mikko was referring to, that we are actually testing with the simulation model our control software. So we are controlling the simulation model with the software that we're going to use later on. So we are step by step evolving the simulation model to make it so that you can later on use it as a digital twin or something like that.
Right. So about the simulation, how much time would you need to put on this, and how long are these simulation stages?
It's a hard question to answer with the number.
Depends if you ask a person who's trying to sell it or what needs to do.
Yeah,
But in the end, it will benefit you if you're not doing, compared if you haven't done this kind of simulation.
This early concept phase, that's typically very quick and easy, and the benefits are very easy to see through the communication. Everybody understands, hey, okay, let's move this on the left side, and it's so much easier to see a moving simulation than Excel spreadsheets and 2D drawings and things like that. But then, for instance, in virtual commissioning, it takes time. You need to invest the time, and maybe some companies sometimes see that, yeah, we don't have time for that because the benefits will come later. And then it's on that day when you start to do the virtual commissioning, it's like an extra effort. And you don't kind of necessarily foresee at that point that this will pay back, especially because of virtual commissioning, you avoided a costly mistake that never happened. how do you put then the kind of like the success on that and calculate it?
Like Mika.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point as well. So in Fastems, what we realized during the COVID time, that when we were a little bit limited to travel and limited to do the on-site commissioning, so we put a lot of effort to virtual commissioning and virtual acceptance and remote support, remote acceptance testing, and using the 3D models with our customers intensively, I can tell that. So, but we saw immediately so that there is the savings. But and the trigger for us was the COVID. I don't know where we would be without the COVID in that sense, but that was a very good exercise for us, and that was developing our methods and processes, and we gained a lot of benefits through that. Absolutely.
So we found one positive thing about COVID.
Yeah, there's always two sides of the coin. So,
Did you want to, Jyrki?
Yeah, I was what Samuli mentioned here, that I think if you do the simulation and you build up everything and you test things, and even in the worst case, if your project fails, you have only lost time, not money, because you have not invested in the system that will not work. So I think that the earlier you start, then it's sort of easier to pull the plug if it seems that this doesn't work. It's only been use of time so far and software, but no investments made. So,
right. Sounds reasonable. Moving on, we face significant integration challenges and also opportunities. Currently, manufacturing and automation companies are taking into use advanced technologies such as AI, big hype around AI these days. You mentioned digital twins, simulation, and VR, virtual reality. Juha, what potential benefits do these kind of technologies bring to the table?
I think these are the ones that we've been already discussing here, but the steps that where to utilize certain way the simulation model or tools that you have, all these generate data. So it's more and more coming to understanding the data and doing data analysis based on that. So if you have a digital twin, it's providing you some data, and you have to analyze that and go through it, and then AI might help you in there. There might be some tools on there. One addition to what we've already discussed is that we've been using simulation as well, so that you can do a sort of a playback run from the simulation. For example, for our commissioning team, that if there was a problem in the machinery, you can stop it, raise a flag on that, and then do a playback run to understand that what happened actually, what happened before the error. So nobody saw what happened, but you can do a playback run using the simulation. So tools like these, they all provide data, and then it's up to you, how do you utilize the data. So AI comes in handy in there, but it's just another tool. So you have to use these tools and analyze the data correctly.
But Mika, AI, digital twins, and these kind of technologies.
Yeah, so in Fastems, we are following very, very closely the development and progress of these AI technologies, and we are still a little bit looking for that where we would utilize that, and because we have some challenges what we have faced on that, because the AI is using the data. So in the early stage, you need to put data in and right type of data to get the good results out from the AI, and
it's using your data, like
it means the production
AI.
data. You know that if we want to utilize the AI to improving the efficiency of the automation and the productivity, so then you need to collect the data to get the understanding, and then try to build a model which could help you to do that, to improving the efficiency. But what we have faced that it's sometimes quite difficult to collect the data in the way that we can utilize it, because it's the customer data many times. And then we are working in the clients we don't want to share it. So and that is still a little bit what we need to think about, how to do that, and how the world is going and which direction. But definitely AI, that's a huge. That is a huge step in the future. I'm looking forward to that.
Maybe kind of following up what Mika said, reminds me of a case. I had a prospect customer in Spain in 2009, so years ago, and what they were looking for was that they wanted the tool that they give some input data, they give the output, so the goals they want to reach. The system designs them 3 different alternative layouts, creates what was the output, what's the financial payback, and then generates electrical drawings. And I was like, yeah, good luck finding that. But I think we are coming to an age where actually that might be possible. Not right now, maybe, but maybe in some years you get at least part of that or maybe all of that. So it will be interesting times ahead of us.
Jyrki, how do you see what are the key challenges or maybe even obstacles businesses face when integrating these kind of technologies like AI?
I think especially with the AI, the challenge is that the quality of the AI depends on the data you are training your models with. So if you don't get correct, accurate data, your model might make wrong conclusions, terribly wrong conclusions. And the challenge is that, as Mika said, that we don't have that much clear, structured data from the industries. It's easy to recognize faces or cats or dogs because internet is full of pictures of cats and dogs and faces, but not that much relevant industrial data. So collecting the data is challenging. Or then on the other way, it could be that there's a lot of data, but we don't know what the data is. So if it's not labeled and we don't know the content of the data, it's not useful for training the models. So I think that's one of the biggest challenges, to get the quality data for training the models.
How do you overcome this problem?
Yeah. So in Fastems, we are actually developing softwares at the moment which can be used to collect the data. And we are preparing in that sense the future for collecting this high quality and good quality information which can be used in the future. So we are preparing that. So let's see, we are taking those softwares in place at the moment, and then the pilot customers has been up and running a couple of years, and then step by step we are getting on that, reaching the point what Jyrki was mentioning. So this is we talked about earlier today that we are all quite amazed at how quickly this AI has changed the world in last 2 years, so to speak. But I believe that the trend in the manufacturing world is maybe a little bit, longer in that sense, so that we need to study first, and then we need to look forward at what are the application areas and how to get the benefits of that.
Right. So let's have a look at future trends then in technology adoption. Jyrki, which technologies are expected to have the most significant impact on industries?
Well, I guess I may sound a little bit boring and repeating here, but I believe that the AI and machine learning will be bringing a lot of new advantages. That generating new data like generative AI, somewhat straightforward routine tasks will be automated. So somewhere where the potential of the humans and the problem-solving skills and the intuitiveness is wasted, all that will go into the system. So let's say, for example, machines that you could communicate with, not program them, but to tell that I would like you to take the blanks from that pallet, put them into that lathe, and when they are ready, place them on that conveyor. And all this would happen automatically without need to program a single line of code. I think that's sort of a development that we are going towards too.
How do you, Samuli, see this?
Yeah, hard to argue that it would be something else in today's environment than AI, which is the big thing. And how I see it is that I'm excited about industrial robots. I'm also fun at parties still, but it's kind of, not disappointing, but in a way, industrial robots has been fairly same for the past couple of decades. And AI will most definitely kind of change that concept. So we've been doing, robots, of course, they are today faster and easier and more accessible and all that. But the underlying concept, how they are programmed and controlled in most industries are pretty much the same. And I'm excited to see how this will change.
Sure.
Yeah, it's definitely and something kind of like it puzzles me, and what we have noticed in our work, that the AI and machine learning, it's quite easy when you are moving bits and bytes. But then when we move into the physical world and we have gravity, we have friction, we have collisions, it tends to be quite a bit more complicated than we assume. So I think it will still take time to sort of solve all these problems, but that's definitely the direction.
Exactly, and it requires getting these, like the physical world and the digital world, even closer to each other.
Yes, because it's not enough just to turn it off and turn it on again and then it works. If you have collided your robot and everything's in easy pieces, it needs more than a reset.
Control Z.
Yes.
Doesn't happen.
IT needs to learn new tricks.
Yes.
Right. So any advice for companies who are integrating or starting to adopt these technologies, Mika and Mikko, how should companies prepare for this? Because I think you can't stay outside of this development.
Well, yeah, of course, like said in here, the information flow in normal manufacturing environment, it's been raising a lot. And that means that also the knowledge levels that even basic operator in the production is working, that needs to be higher. And that's a challenge for most of the companies. And that means that also if you have multiple locations in different countries, even the language might be different. And all of that will create a challenge for the competencies and knowledge and what kind of interfaces for the data you have. So that capability of making the decisions and understanding the data, that's coming a lot on the production. And that's causing challenges even in recruitment and even in the areas that you can put your factory or manufacturing in. So if you don't have a proper resources available in that area and proper knowledge levels, that's a big challenge.
And I think coming back to the data, I mean, there's lots of data nowadays, and there in the future it will just grow the amount of data. So to pick the right things to work with, that's one thing. But I think to pick the right things, you need to understand what do you measure and what do you want to go for. So what's important, what's not important. Concentrate on the key KPIs to improve the right things, to be more efficient. What do you need to do? And once you understand that, then you understand what kind of input is needed and kind of to play with to get there. And I think like Samuli said, the AI, that will change probably. I think the industrial robotics scene and the automation scene in general, how easy it is to what also Jyrki said, to program, to take into use automation. So instead of these engineers, it could be anybody telling just what they want to achieve, what they want to do, instead of having to type it or click here and there. So I think the whole and how we implement, how companies in manufacturing or automation implement automation, it will be quite different in 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, maybe one comment on that. So we don't know what we don't know, actually, and that is also actually, in my mind, is part of this AI discussion as well. And therefore, if we are talking about our end customers, we are encouraging them quite often, hey, you need to hire some new skills which have a different mindset, because sometimes we have this kind of, our traditional way of thinking. And now this AI is bringing some new way of thinking. But of course, for these kind of old dogs like I am, it's a little bit difficult to find the new tricks. So therefore, and that same applies to our customer base as well. And so
that's a very valid point.
Yeah. So I'm encouraging, hire new people, this kind of new let's say new skills, different skill set of the employees. And then they don't have this kind of limitations of the past. So they are open-minded to apply these new technologies and learn these things.
Yeah, sure.
And I think besides this, the sort of no one wants to invest in AI or automation or robotics because the AI, automation, or robotics, they want to stay in the game. They want to produce something and stuff. So we should not forget the basic skills that if you need to weld something, you need the people who can weld, because the AI cannot weld. So you need the guys who will do all the AI and software stuff, but then you need the people who know the processes, because for that the AI is not a tool yet.
Right.
Sorry, one quick thing coming back from what especially Mika said, that we don't know what we don't know and the skills. It was a customer of us in UK who was referring to a UK study about the future and the skills and the people. And he said that in 2050, according to the study, 2 out of 3 kids of today, they will work in job positions that don't exist today. And that is something to think about. Yeah.
Let's continue with this discussion soon and future of work and how it's changing the skills needed and so on. But we talked a lot about simulation here, so now let's take a short look at a video how simulation looks like. Okay, let us continue with the discussions here at our roundtable and take a look at the future of work and talk a little bit about how to navigate labor shortages with technology. Mika, how can automation and these kind of digital tools help address the shortage or even lack of skilled workers?
Well, of course, the easy answer is that it can help us to reallocate the resources to more value-adding jobs. So that's, of course, the key priority that every company should be looking for. Is it the material transport or some very simple tasks that have a very low threshold on automation? So then you can move your resources on things that are adding more value, and you can stay competitive and then still enable growth with your existing resources. So that's, of course, the key thing, what I see from our perspective in here.
Right. And what about Jyrki and Samuli? How do you see this? How can these kind of technologies help with labor shortage?
I can go first.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So, of course, the shortage is in certain fields. And we provide, for instance, robot offline programming tools. And we know that there's a huge shortage on manual welders, and the average age of manual welders is quite high. So it will get even worse in the future. And it's not that like we need to find manual welders from somewhere, like Mika said, that more value-adding jobs. So the solution for that shortage is robot offline programming, so that you don't program. You don't weld manually. You don't even program the robots in a traditional way. So the jobs will be that we need people who can program the robots. The tools are getting easier and better, and we need the process knowledge mainly, and some level of robot operators and things like that. So the whole job scenery, for instance, in the field of welding, will change.
Maybe there a quick comment about the magnitude of the problem. In US, I think last year, there was a lack of 400,000 welders. So it's a huge problem. And as you said, it's just growing and growing year by year.
Yeah.
Right. Jyrki.
Yes, I think I continue. As I mentioned earlier, that the new tools, I see them as a way for the existing professionals to be more effective, so that when you are getting older, you don't necessarily have the same strength to work long hours and stuff. But with the new tools, you can still be a welder and use these tools to produce more. And then for that, and also for the coming professionals doing that job, is that we need to make these new modern tools easy to use, so that we have a very gentle learning curve. In the 90s, there was trend in Finland that when the offline programming came first, that they got brand new engineers who were very good with computers, and they tried to make them robot welders, and it didn't work at all because they know the software, but they didn't know how to weld. But when it was turned around and making easy software and using the existing welders to do the offline programs, everything started to work much better. So I think we need skilled workers and efficient tools for them, and I think that would be the right direction here.
So it sounds like these technologies will create new kinds of jobs and sets of skills.
Probably not going to be a zero-sum game. But yeah, most definitely.
So what does it require from companies to upskill or reskill existing workforce and manage this?
I guess sort of it's a lot of talk nowadays about lifelong learning, and that's true because the technology is evolving so fast that what you learn today might be obsolete in 5 years. So you need to continuously improve your skills and learn new. And that's something that we in the university world try to now make sort of a small microcredits and modules that you don't need to go for a 1 year or even 1 month course, but you can learn some small new skill in half a day or in a couple of hours, and then try to kind of like modularize the learning in that way. And I think in there it's quite well possible because of the modern tools are much easier to use, that you don't no longer need a 2-week course to learn to use a software. You should be able to learn it straight away, like all the mobile phone apps and such. So I think that's an important direction.
Exactly. I think it's a challenge for us software vendors in the industrial space. So the applications that we use, the consuming facing applications are so easy, and they are kind of like this single problem type of things that people don't learn any valid skills for industrial space from those. And then there's this huge gap in the user experience when you go and start using industrial tools and applications. So I think it's a challenge for us to try to mitigate that gap, and we need to, in the industrial softwares, pay more attention to user experience, in my opinion. Right. We're doing that already. I'm not saying, but I think there's room to do more.
Right. What about Mika? How do you see upskill or reskilling existing workforce?
Yeah,
companies ready for this?
I think many companies are not probably ready enough for that. So I think, like Jyrki said, that should be a continuous process, and then basically the people are still in the manufacturing industry the most flexible part of your processes, so they can adjust to changes and situations quite quickly. So that's why I usually use the term like multi-skilled people. So more skills your people and your labor force have, better capability to recover from different kind of situations and scenarios you have in your factory. So therefore I see that the continuous training and continuous learning of your labor force should be like a key part of your strategy in order for you to be like competitive still in future.
Right. And you see that you should build on the knowledge that these workers already have, and not like have totally new skills coming.
Definitely, there's like Jyrki said, small things coming like more frequently, small things, not like a 2-week training or something like that. I don't think people can like take so much knowledge at the one time. So small modules in shorter time periods. And then that's of course something that is important, that what we have seen is that different people have different wishes. Some people like to learn more and then develop themselves a lot more. And you should have that availability in your company, that if you have people who want to learn more, they should be given an opportunity. So that's something that most companies don't take up, that kind of opportunities.
So like more flexibility.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's sort of a bit of a challenge from the industrial point of view also, that we talk about these digi natives, that they have born with a smartphone on their hand, and they are also used for very easy to use software with 2 buttons. But then when we go to industry, we talk about much more complicated and complex systems, and the softwares just are more complicated for that. And if the sort of like game stopper would be that you need to open up an instruction manual that are too complicated, never mind. In industry, you actually do need to open the manual quite frequently even. So that's sort of like something to, I don't know how to handle with that, but it's a bit of a challenge that you need to know, as Mika mentioned, you need to have quite many skills to be able to manage. So,
right. So we need to also consider socio-economic impacts of automation. It's understandable that people, of course, are thinking that is my job on the line that I'm doing right now. You mentioned that there will be jobs that we don't know that will exist in the future. How do you see it, Mikko? What happens to people's jobs when more and more is automated and AI is doing things that we are doing nowadays?
Change is always scary, and it's, I think the common thinking is that robots come to take our jobs, and maybe they now come to take the jobs we don't yet know about in a way we don't know about. But I don't think that's true. So there's a good practical example. I think 2016 there was a Robo Business Europe, this event in Odense, and normally you have businesses like Fastems, Etteplan selling their automation systems to manufacturers and so on these shows. And then I found the Danish Metal Union, and I was like, what are these guys doing here? This is not their place. These should be the guys with on the barricades with signs, stop the robots. And I went to talk to them, and I asked, like, why are you here? And they were like, they're promoting cobots and robots for industrial customers. And I was like, why are you doing this? That isn't your members, aren't they against this? And they were, and we were. But then we had studies done in Denmark about the effects of automation. What they found out is that each and every company that invested in automation, cobots, robots, mobile robots, they increased jobs. They were able to keep the production in Denmark. They were able to even reshore certain parts that was first taken somewhere else. And basically every robot or cobot invested in, on average, created 3 new jobs. So they were not the jobs. I mean, they took a job maybe, but it created other jobs, and it increased the cost effectiveness and the competitiveness of the company so that they could actually scale up or start to maybe do something else, or like you said, do something more value adding, maybe moving that resource to another position in the company. So it didn't maybe even kill a job. It just made it possible for them to invest more into the future business. And that was for me kind of eye-opening.
Yeah. So is it more like an hindering our thinking that we
maybe so? Yeah. We like to think always the worst, I guess.
Yeah. If you don't know about it, then you're probably scared about it.
Yeah. The pessimist won't be disappointed.
And I think regarding the ease of use, we had use cases where using virtual reality and actual painters who are now painting manually and upskilling them to use or program robot with the virtual reality, the user interface is much more closer to what you see on your mobile phone or tools that younger generation is easier to or more common to use. And that was like an eye-opener for myself, that actually it's more efficient to program the robot by a real painter who just understands what he's doing with just a couple of clicks. Of course, he or she needs to go through what has been done, but the efficiency is coming from the experience and knowledge on the manual process. So changing that to using modern tools and possibly some automation robots, it's generating the efficiency on the shop floor. And then regarding Mikko's example, we had a customer case where they were thinking that should they buy new CNC machinery or outsource that and invest in automation. They decided to outsource that totally and invest in robotic cells. And they decided to do that so that the CNC machinery operators actually started to learn robotics, and they realized that from CNC machinery to 6D robots, 6 degree of freedom robots, it's not actually that big of a step to understand those. So they realized that educating our personnel from this is actually creating more value in here using these modern automation tools.
That's an interesting example.
Yeah, and then I would like to highlight 2 points, what I on top of this good conversation. So the way of living what we are having in this planet is based on the growth in general, and keeping the growth, the automation is the key in the manufacturing industry. So that is obvious that automation is not any longer the choice, do we automate or not? I think it's a must. And I'm very happy to hear also that even in Finland we have overcame already this kind of statement that the jobs are disappearing because of the automation, because it's totally opposite. So that is creating the work and jobs also in Finland, because it's bringing the growth, and growth is increasing also our way of living, making it possible. And then quite often what is also a little bit on offside of these discussions is the health and safety. When you automate something, that means also that the risk of the human this kind of getting damaged or having this kind of accidents in the production is also decreasing. So because quite often our customers are, when they are justifying the investment, the efficiency is of course the one thing, but then also the health and safety and overall employee, this kind of how they can do their daily base business and activities is very important. So minimizing the lifting of the heavy parts, minimizing the interfacing with the hazard equipments and automating those and allowing the people to do the safety things on their daily base business. That's also quite important factor.
Right. Then a few words about reshoring as a strategic move. Miikka, how do you see that? What are the biggest challenges and also opportunities of reshoring? How should companies prepare for this?
From business point of view, we also struggle with that quite often, and we see that nowadays at this point there is a lot of cases like this. So this is a very active topic at the moment. So in order to make that business feasible, I think just like talk today, I think there's many examples already today that doing like a simulation and using these digital tools and what you have available, you can do quite good like a sanity check that is your business going to be feasible and what kind of investments you need and what kind of resources you will need to make that happen. And then I think what I mentioned in a very early stage is this leap of faith. You can reduce that because I feel that this is especially kind of like a leap of faith that when you move, for example, to different country with a different kind of labor cost and all of that, you need to have data and an assurance that what you are doing is going to be feasible. So that's I think, very golden opportunity for this kind of tools to make the sanity check and understand is that going to happen or not.
So to round up for today, if you could give one piece of advice to manufacturing leaders looking to enhance efficiency through technology, what would that be?
Yeah, I can start. All right. Maybe adapt new technologies rather sooner than later, but don't try to do everything at once. So scale the problem, use it where it's kind of most impactful or needed. In the case of simulation, we often, for instance, recommend to start by doing simple conceptual layouts and expand from there. So kind of don't try to do too much at the same time, would be my recommendation, with the disclaimer that do stuff.
Do stuff.
Yeah.
That's a good slogan.
I would guess say that take care of your employees. They are your most valuable resource, and make sure that they have the latest tools and knowledge how to use them. So it's care of the human.
That's better. I will use that.
So let's start again.
Take care of you.
Yeah. And also invest the new employees as well. So like I said earlier, that we need to have a new skill set on the managing the modern manufacturing systems. So I was very happy to visit one of the UK customers as well, which is a very traditional machine workshop. Very, very senior manufacturing engineers, manufacturing managers, but at the same time on the table there was a new generation as well. And then the reason for those was exactly that they were there to adopt and get understanding of these new softwares, what we are offering, because they knew very clearly that those new generation has a better possibilities to adopt and learn these new softwares compared to these seniors, which has been more focused on the manufacturing processes and then the technologies itself. So the combination, that's what I'm looking for. You need both experience and the new generation as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Juha.
I think from the system integrator point of view, the simplicity and modularity of what you're investing in, we already talked here that lowering the threshold of investment is that, are you going to do everything with one single machine, or do you have smaller machines that are simple and efficient, and then you have modules that you can utilize elsewhere to, so rather the same that Samuli was saying, but simplicity and modularity.
Mikko.
There's already good points in here, but as an engineer, I like fact-based decision-making. So I would have to say that what I unfortunately see a lot of what is mentioned in here is that the gathering of the data and availability of the data. So the digital infrastructure that you have in your factory, that's probably the most critical thing what I see in the coming years and future, that you are not able to make fact-based decisions or even implement AI if your digital infrastructure in your manufacturing environment is not in correct order. So that's probably thing I see that most people struggle at, most factories struggle at this point.
And Mikko, your recommendations also, but also maybe a wrap-up of everything that we have talked about today, an easy task here to sum this up, your thoughts.
Thank you. Yeah, I think one of the things coming back to, I mean, there's been people and the ease of use and the skills, all of that is popping up all the day. So it's not only about technology and automation, it's a lot about the people and having all the right pieces locked into place. And I think, the data that you start from, who's going to kind of analyze the data with what kind of tools. But then coming back to if you want to be more efficient, okay, you have certain goals. You have a capacity that you want to reach. You want to utilize your machines better, so to understand where you want to get, and then understand how efficient you want to be or need to be to get there. And then based on what data you're making your decisions on, and who's going to do it, and what tools they need. So it's a combination of different things. And I think in the coming years, we will see more and more AI kicking in. How it will affect our work, we don't know. It will hopefully make it easier. It will hopefully enable manufacturing companies to spread automation on broader use case or base of applications, so that, things that were now maybe too complex to automate, in 5 years, they are the bread and butter of just do it.
Just do it. Excellent. That was perfect sum up of our roundtable discussion. Thank you so much, Mikko, and the rest of our panelists. And thank you for watching today. I hope you found this discussion useful and relevant, and that it sparked many new ideas and was inspiring. To learn more and to find more information, please visit visualcomponents.com. But now, thank you very much for joining in and have a great day. Bye-bye.